Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, Empyre, issue number 4. This was the best issue of the 4 issues of the main book so far. Did I like it? Yeah, I kind of did. There were good references in here, and we're going to get into all that good stuff. Let's give credit where credit's due first. The story is by Al Ewing and Dan Slott. The script is by Al Ewing. The artist is Valerio Scheide, and Marty Gracia does the color art. The letters are by VC's Joe Caramagna, and the covers by Jim Chung and Guro FX. Bunch of varied covers, graphic design, Carlos Lau. All right, so we're going to start off with, well, this is definitely not Hulkling. It's definitely not Hulkling. And what I love about this is that it was drawn to not be Hulkling. I mean, you could see it in the very beginning, and we also saw in the previous issue that the Skrull leader, the Skrull Empress, she found a way to fool the universal weapon and a whole bunch of different, forms of detection, so that all the way down to the genetic level, it looks like a Skrull, or it looks like a Kree, or it looks like, whatever they want it to realistically look like, including a Kree-Skrull hybrid. So I dug on that. I really did. And it's not too far-fetched beyond the imagination of the pale, because we've already seen that kind of tech, that kind of ability can be used back in Secret Invasion. So this wasn't a stretch of the imagination at all. It's going off of a standard that's already been preset for them. Now, as you read on, you do see the different ways that they're acting, and it's like, when did the switch happen? Well, he finally got forced to go and take a nap. You know what I'm saying? It's, no, I've slept enough, and yeah. The idea of what it means to be a king. And one of the ways that helped to try to fool you, it didn't work, but I don't know if it worked on anybody, but it's just the idea that they kept on having the words in black. The thoughts were in black. And so, boom, right there, trying to say, this is what it means to be king. This is what it means to be blah, 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 whatever. Yeah, I dug on that. That was cool. That was cool. They really did try. Later on, when the Human Torch says, she used the doohickey. The first appearance of Ronan the Accuser, if I remember correctly, and I usually do, was in the Fantastic Four. You'd figure Johnny Storr would know that it's called a universal weapon or a cosmorod. I'm saying. Anyway. Yeah, this was fun. I like the way that this all played out. And we're not the ones who were entirely surprised by it. Was it a good idea to make it so that we knew in the end of the previous issue that the Skrull Empress was actually disguising herself as a bunch of different people? Yes, I think it was definitely better off that we knew that. Otherwise, it's just at the end, oh, surprise! No. This is what I'm talking about. Ewing is the guy, actually I just said this in the Guardians of the Galaxy book that I just reviewed, which is also Ewing. I said Ewing has a great way of lying his ass off to you, and then later on saying, this is where I tricked you. And we're like, oh, okay, I get it. So we're thinking all of this is on the up and up, and it's like, wow, I guess that the Kree and the Skrull are actually the good guys in this one particular instance. No, they're not. They were, well, not necessarily. They were tricked. They were duped into doing this thing. So it felt righteous. How is that any less righteous than when the Skrulls came with the whole, he loves you. It was like same thing. Exact same thing. So I dug on that. That's one of the things about Ewing. You can always tell certain ideas or maybe even tropes that a writer will use. And Ewing is the guy who's read all of these comic books, all of them, as much as you or I. And then he turns around and he's like, it'd be cool for a storyline in the future based off of this. And this is one of the reasons why so many of us love Ewing, because he reads the same books we do. He likes the same books that we do. He's a fan, but like a good fan, he'll always have a little bit of headcanon, a little bit of fan fiction. But it's not called fan fiction when you actually work for Marvel and you're writing Marvel stories like this. So the guy's in a really good position. He put himself in a good spot. You can't deny the genius that is Al Ewing. Good, smart dude. Genuinely smart dude. So here's some of the things that I'm not a huge fan of. And I almost feel like this was a Slott thing, but whatever. Back here, we get to see that he made a new armor, and it's got the 4 on it. You know what? That's what Iron Man does. He makes new armors. But when you break him down and reads like, wait, that we need more than this. We need blah, 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 blah. We need, what is it? You really should be spending your time, should you really be spending your time building another suit of armor? And Tony says, you know how I told Thor to spend his time? I told him to go on a quest to find things out his way, with his tools, his process. This is my process. I think in suits, Reed. I think that on the base level, sure. Like what's presented to us, sure. But no, when we also read stories that the Universal Explorer is Reed Richards and the Universal Engineer is Tony Stark, no. I'm going to argue that, no, he doesn't think in suits, he thinks in engineering. Like, this was already explained by some of the people here, that while Reed is an engineer and he's a whole bunch of, he's like all the scientists together, he's more of an explorer. But Stark is more of the engineer, and not just for suits. He's not like Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying? Well, on the basis, anybody who doesn't actually read Iron Man comics, somebody who hasn't read Iron Man comics in the back, like the Michelini and Layton days and the Kirby, or mostly the Lee days and, little of the Ditko and whatnot. No. Tony Stark has built more than just suits, a lot more than just suits. We've seen him do amazing works before. So breaking him down to he makes suits, sure, if you're only an MCU fan, you haven't read the Iron Man comics back in the days, or even modern days, then I guess, but no, he thinks in a lot more than suits. Here's something else that's a little bit frustrating too. Just a little bit, the rant that I went on last time, Ibambe, hold the line. Yeah, we hold the line. Dude, we know that you Googled this stuff. Thank you very much. Can you please stop now? You had your moment where it's like, hey, look, I'm smart because I Googled. I know there's some people who are like, it's such a petty thing to complain about. My channel, deal with it. So then we see, and here's one of the things I like. We get to see that some of the books are actually referenced again. Reach down into my dirty pile of books. Here we go. Bang. Some books are actually referenced again. The Celestial Messiah book, Lords of Empyre. So nice. I like that they did that. That is how you tell a story in a comic book when you're doing an event. You reference the other stuff. You reference it all. So I dug that they actually did that. They said, like, well, this is the way that the story went before. I don't know if they read it. I don't know if they had the chance to read it while this was coming out, while that was coming out. Everything was on press. Give me a gist of your story. Because they definitely didn't go into the details of the idea that he was beating the crap out of his mother. And he did not know that was a... that they gave the idea, the impression that he knew the whole time that was just a simulacrum. In reality, he did not know until the very end. And that's when he started torturing the damn thing. And that was really messed up and showing that Koi is definitely the bad guy. That being said, I did still like that book. Go and check out that review. Here, we get to see something else entirely. You know how the Skrull Empress is taking over, at this point, Hulkling's body? A revelation is made that they killed somebody here. And that's some really messed up stuff. It might be one of those things where you think, oh my God, did they just kill her? You remember that Al Ewing wrote this script, right? Al Ewing also makes another book called Immortal Hulk. When she comes back, it's going to be pretty epic. They tried to do some images here that did very much remind me of Joe Bennett's artwork and Paul Mounts on colors. So I really, really, really like where this is going. And of all things, seeing the Thing being as terrified as he was, excuse me, that was cool. That was very, very cool. I dug that so much. And of course, the idea that the person who loves, well, it's almost like I'm giving away all of the book, but when you see the person who loves someone will recognize someone, even in a shadow, I like that. I really did like that. This book, this is almost like the epitome of what Ewing does. He takes a story, he'll give us a story, and then he'll do the little bit of tweaks like this is where I'm going to put in this element. This is where I'm going to put in this element. And they're all elements that we've seen before, tropes, but we love them. So is it turning the story around for a good way? Again, for me, being such an abject loyalist to that original Kree-Skrull War storyline, the original Celestial Madonna storyline, knowing how much the Avengers Crossed story pissed us off so much that to this day, they're still trying to make us forget that happened and erasing things that happened back then. You can't make Mantis evil, dude. We love Mantis too much. So now they're trying to, play with us here and be like, well, let's make Swordmaster evil and by proxy coy. Apparently apparently I'm in the minority on this. I guess enough of us older folk who read those original stories and hated the change that they tried to do in Avengers Cross, I guess that enough of us are gone. Because the people who are watching my channel, I see enough people like, no, I like the story. Cool. I'm happy to be in the minority on this, and I'm still going to stick with my guns on it. I don't like what they're doing, and we need to see that the priests of Pama and the Katatl, that this peaceful race of people who were basically the Shaolin monks. This is like me watching my old Shaolin monk, my black belt theater, my kung fu theater stuff back in the day, and just finding out, yeah, the Shaolin priests were actually all evil. They weren't all about self-preservation and trying to defend themselves. No, they were actually the aggressors the whole time. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I'm just not going to be. So, no, I don't want to see that. Turns out that Gandhi was actually Jack the Ripper. That's why we were able to find him. Yeah, maybe it seems like a good story, but I'll bet you there are going to be a lot of people who were around during that time or who, looked up to the man or, maybe they were of a similar religion. Maybe they'd be pissed off about the idea. So, yeah, I'm going to be in that minority. Anyway, so good book. Genuinely, this was a good book. I like what they did in here. Whole bunch of twists in this book, which it's issue 4 of 6. It makes sense this would be the book, and I guess I just wasn't thinking about that while I was reading it, but this was good. This was good. Anyway, guys, I'm still think it's something that you probably want to wait for the trade, but whatever. There's so much of it coming out right now that what's the point? There's so much coming out because of the pandemic and the change to the comic book industry that with all this stuff coming out so quickly right now, it's like, hey, we've been gone for like 2-3 months. Let's just start throwing this stuff out. It really does work. So there's that. Anyway, guys, like the video and watch an ad so that your favorite YouTubers can make money. I'm out. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.